introduction. It's exactly the way I wrote it. And also for pumping up the audience all day long. So you've been terrific last year, and that's why we wanted you back. So when you said I'll be back, you meant it. So thank you very much for all your great work. And thank you also to President van der Bellen for co-hosting this summit with me once again. He's a great friend and a great believer in a clean environment, and he's really promoting it all over the world, so thank you very much for your great work. And thank you to the United States EPA Secretary Michael Regan for coming all the way from Washington to be with us here today. It is fantastic to have America's chief pollution terminator right here with us. Thank you also to all of our fantastic speakers and panelists from more than 50 countries. Thank you to our major sponsors, BMW, Clemens Hallman and his company, and Holcomb. You're all part of the solution instead of part of the problem. I also want to say thank you to my very dear friend, Monica Landauer. She's a great partner of mine. And I want to say thank you also to the Arnold Schwarzenegger Climate Initiative team for your non-stop work to make this the most important environmental summit in the world. And thank you to each and every one of you for being here, whether you are with us in Vienna or you're tuning in online, it doesn't matter. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, right now, I'm with the filming Netflix show, Fuba, right here in Toronto. And this is the reason, of course, why I can't be with you today, because I have to live in this COVID bubble, where no one can leave the set to go travel overseas, because everyone is so worried about that you come back and bring COVID back and infect someone on the set, and that will cost millions of dollars to stop the filming and all this kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm sorry that I couldn't be with you. Now, if you like True Lies, you're going to love this show, this TV series. You will love it. I mean, it's been wild. I mean, I rode on top of a high-speed train with 180 miles per hour. I jumped 80 feet off a waterfall in the jungle of South America. I drove a motorcycle 120 miles per hour through the streets of Antwerp. But here's the real crazy part. I never really got wet. I never rode a motorcycle in Belgium, nor was I on a high-speed rail. As a matter of fact, the high-speed rail is right behind me, right here. Look at this. It's a high-speed rail, yes, but it doesn't go anywhere. It's right in the studio. So you see, technology changed everything about Hollywood and show business. I mean, we can really entertain the people 100% better because of all of this technology. Technology makes the impossible possible. And the reason why I'm telling you all this is not because I want to teach you how to go and make a movie and how movies are being made and all this stuff, no. I mean, it's just technology. The same is true also with the clean energy movement. It's about technology. See, solar panels, wind farms, batteries, clean cars, ships powered by clean fuel, hydropower, and the list goes on and on and on. I mean, just over a decade ago, a clean future seemed like an impossible dream. In 2010, solar and wind generated 1.7% of the world's electricity. By last year, it was up to 8.7%. So solar and wind are exploding at an annual growth rate of 15%. Now, at this speed, solar and wind will reach 45% of electricity by the year 2030. And since 2015, electric vehicle sales have increased by 50% every year. If this trend continues, 50% of our passenger vehicle sales will be electric cars by the year 2026. And this is literally just 4 years away. So think about that. I mean, it's no different than the mobile phones, by the way. I mean, they started out as this huge clunky thing. Remember, you held this big brick against your ear, and that only rich people really could afford. But by 2005, 2 billion people had them, and today 7 billion people own a smartphone. Almost the whole world has a phone. It happened so fast. The mobile phones went from a niche product to mainstream before anyone realized what was happening. That is the power of technology. Our clean energy crusade can do exactly the same thing. Just look at how technology has transformed electric cars. I mean, 15 years ago, the only option was a tiny little weird-looking car that would barely drive around town, barely anyone could fit in it. But today, electric cars are beautiful, they're powerful, and they can drive for hundreds of miles on a charge. Now, I'm sure that you saw the BMW commercial where I played Zeus, the god of lightning, to introduce the new fantastic electric car, BMW iX. And it was introduced at the Super Bowl. Now, just so you know, the Super Bowl is the #1 sports and TV event in the United States every year. As a matter of fact, this year, 208 million people watched it. It is huge. Everyone in America talks about it and can't wait for it. Commercials there and the Super Bowl cost $6.5 million for every 30 seconds, just to show you how big this is. Now, when I heard about this commercial, I signed on right away. And #1, because I was able to play Zeus. I mean, it was a dream role, the ruler of all gods and the father of Hercules, who I played, by the way, in 1969 in the movie. And #2, I love the idea of promoting an electric car on the biggest stage possible, the Super Bowl. And #3, the performance. I mean, when I heard that it could drive 324 miles without a charge, and that it has a 516 horsepower engine that goes from 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds, I say, finally there's a car that looks great, that you can put people in it, and it is powerful. When I watched the Super Bowl, I have to tell you, I was absolutely in heaven. Not because I love watching myself, well, that too, but because almost every car commercial this year was for an electric car. I mean, this is huge, ladies and gentlemen, because just 4 years ago, there wasn't a single electric car commercial, not a single one. That's what I call going mainstream. Finally, everywhere you look, the clean energy revolution is firing on all cylinders. Oh, in this case, it's batteries. Our job is simple. Keep the engine running at full speed. It is time to put fossil fuels in our rearview mirror. Now you say to yourself, this isn't just climate change. This is a climate emergency. This is a pollution emergency. And I agree with you. This is an emergency. 7 million people were killed by pollution last year. Now think about that. 7 million people die every year because of pollution. 7 million. And this is not just a number, may I remind you. My friend Rosamund is in the audience today. Rosamund, you want to stand up just briefly, please? Let's give her a big hand. Now, she lost her beautiful 9-year-old daughter, Ella, to pollution. The family lived less than 100 feet from South Circle Road, one of the busiest roads in London that had thousands and thousands of cars and buses and trucks driving by, which created extremely high levels of pollution. The last 2 years of her life, little Ella was hospitalized 30 times for asthma attacks. And one terrible day, the doctors couldn't save her. Yeah. Now normally, her death certificate would say asthma. But Rosamund fought for the truth to save other children. Ella became the first person whose official death certificate, the official death on the death certificate was pollution. Think about that. Not asthma, it was pollution. This is so important because we're lying to ourselves all the time. I mean, the day when someone dies of a heart attack, we just say heart attack. But in the meantime, it was pollution related, maybe. Or when I have someone has lung cancer, it's pollution related, but the death certificate says lung cancer, or stroke, or lung failure. So I want to say thank you to Rosamund for standing up and showing all of us that we can't keep lying. We have to tell the truth. The truth is that a 9-year-old girl lost her life, and all the hopes and dreams went up in smoke. Because we grown-ups can't stop burning fossil fuels and get off our addiction. The truth is, pollution is killing more people every year than malaria, HIV, tuberculosis, terrorism, drugs, alcohol, or war. Think about that. And speaking of war, how many wars are caused or funded by our antiquated energy policies? I mean, just look at the tragedy of Ukraine. We are all horrified by the images that we see in the news every night. But let's be honest with ourselves here. The 1,300 missiles that Russia launched to the Ukraine cities during the first 2 months of the war cost 7.7 billion euros. Now that's a lot. But during that same time, Europe sent to Russia 44 billion euros for fuel. So, of course, the Russians are upset that they're losing all their soldiers and they're losing so many of their equipment and the tanks, the planes and all of this stuff, but they're saying, hey, at least you don't have to pay for this war. The Europeans are sending us the money. They're paying for the war. No matter how we look at it, we have blood on our hands because we are financing the war. We have to start lying to ourselves. Right now, we have all the technology we need to leave fossil fuels in the past. We have a moral obligation to use this technology. We owe it to our billions of dollars struggling to breathe around the world. We owe it to the Ukrainian children growing up in bomb shelters. We owe it to ourselves. We must do whatever it takes to eliminate our addiction to fossil fuels. We must be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Failure is no option here. My friends, technology can be our savior. We have all the tools to save the world. We can be the heroes that we have been waiting for. We can build a future where no one has blood on their hands, a future where our economy booms and our children breathe clean air, a future without pollution. Ladies and gentlemen, let's make the impossible possible. Let's do it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. All right, sir. Now, when are we going to see this new show coming out?
Oh, you're going to see this probably next spring.
And when is my role in it?
You will get a role. Don't cry, okay?
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Thank you for making the effort to be here.
Thank you.
He might fake being on top of the high-speed train, but you can tell one thing he never fakes is his passion for the environment. And that's why today is such a special day. Today is June 14th, 2022. 30 years ago, the big meeting happened, the UN conference in Brazil, where they adopted the Climate Change Convention. Well, that was a banner day. I think it merits taking a look back.
Planet Earth, the most precious gift we have. But what are we humans doing to this truly magical place? The place we call our home is in danger.
I'm here to speak for the countless animals dying across this planet because they have nowhere left to go.
Every year, 36.3 billion tons of